Hey everybody, welcome back to Day 3, Breakfast with Bob from Dative Challenge Roth. My name is Bob Babbitt, brought to you by HOKA Fly Human Fly, Master Spas, deboer wetsuits, Outrigger Kona Resort and Spa, stay longer, save more, and our Challenged Athletes Foundation. Our next guest from the UK, Nikki Bartlett. See? Look at that. Huge ovation. I like it. How you doing, Nick?
Yeah, I'm okay. Thanks, Bob. How are you?
I am spectacular. I look at 2024, and I would say that might be your best year.
Yes,
with
definitely.
Second at 70.3, and you're going to pronounce that for me, Le Sable d'Yon.
Yeah. That
Okay,
sounds
see,
good.
that's good. You win Swansea. You win. You get 5th at Ironman World Championship Nice, which was huge,
Yeah,
right? And then you get 11th at 70.3. Wait.
Yeah, that's right.
70.3 Worlds
Yeah.
in New Zealand.
Yeah.
We saw you there. That's right. Okay. And this year, you sort of dipped your toe in and got a 5th place at some silly event. How are you feeling?
Yeah, I feel excited for the race. Just everything this race is all about. I've just experienced it all, and it's just this where we are now in the expo is just huge.
Isn't it unbelievable?
Yeah. So I'm just really excited to experience everything Roth's about on the weekend.
So, and the other thing is I think things change when you win a race. 2019, you win. 2019, you win Lanzarote after 14 podiums. You finally get that first win. How did that change things for you when you get that win?
Maybe more just belief in yourself. Yeah, it's in you. And it took me a while. It took me a while to get there. I think that was my 3rd or 4th year as a pro.
Right.
So steady progress to my first win. Maybe you appreciate it even more because it takes so long to get there.
Well, and the other thing that you also were talking Paralympics.
Yeah.
You've had that Paralympic experience guiding a visually impaired athlete.
Yeah.
What was that like?
Yeah, actually, it's something that I would like to go back to. I've just kind of raised my interest with British triathlon of saying I would love to be a part of LA.
For LA, yeah.
There's some new athletes and up-and-coming athletes. So, I've kind of recently voiced wanting to come back to that. And if it's not LA, then is it Brisbane afterwards, I think.
Yes, exactly.
So it's something I definitely want to get back into. I've been with the Paralympic squads, welcomed into that squad very warmly 7 years ago. And they still let me swim with them and part of them.
So you train with those guys?
Yeah, train with them for 7 years now.
Wow.
And a lot of them are my very best friends, and they're the people who I just love to bits. So it's not just the training environment, the squad is just everything I love about the sport. So,
well, we just had one of our CF athletes, Mohammed Lana, here, and his coach, Matt Dixon, used to tell me I wanted Mohammed at every workout because all my guys who were whining, and here's this guy with a prosthetic leg, and he's working harder than everybody. He's got a smile on his face.
Yeah.
So when you train with these folks on a daily basis, there's no excuse.
No, I just love swimming's not particularly my favorite sport.
Right.
But I love going swimming because I get to see my friends.
You get to see your friends.
Yeah, exactly.
And you see what they'll do just to get in the pool.
Yeah. Just I can see them all kind of building up towards LA now. It's I just love the environment and the squad. I'd love to come back at some point.
And how much time have you spent on this course?
I've been here now since Saturday evening, so I've seen a fair amount of it. I'm excited.
First time here?
Yeah, it's. I don't know why it's taken me so long to get here.
What the hell?
I know. I said to Felix on Sunday, he kindly drove us around and kind of gave us a show and tell of the area, which was really kind of him. And I said to him, "You can sign me up every year until the end of my pro career."
This is a good course for you.
Yeah,
right?
I think so. Yeah, it'll be like. It's by no means flat at all, but it'll be the flattest course I've done. So I'm really intrigued to see how I go on that. But it's definitely not flat. It's actually really punchy. When I got onto the bike course, I was like, this isn't the flat course everyone told me it was.
Well, and Solar Hill is not the big climb.
Yeah.
There's another climb that's tougher.
Well, because I I actually didn't know whereabouts on the course it was, and I was like, oh, I must have been up it because some of these climbs were steep.
Yeah.
And actually, I hadn't even got to it yet, so I was like, okay, well, it's not obviously the only climb of the course.
I think someone was telling me there was like 14 climbs on the lap.
Okay, yeah, I can
like
see that. Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I was like, this isn't flat.
Yeah, it was Jasper. Jasper said it was like 14 climbs per lap, and I think we know Solar Hill, but there's a ton more.
Yeah, I think it's because typically I choose like your Ironman Wales type courses.
Right.
So, I mean, it is a lot flatter than an Ironman Wales, and I guess the profile of an Ironman Wales is a bit different. Like it's punchy out the saddle, kind of short, sharp climbs,
Sure.
whereas here's like more gradual. I think there's 1,600 meters of climbing on the bike course, so it is a lot flatter, but it's certainly not flat.
Well, and on Wales, you won that in 2023. And that when you win one of those brutal courses, there's like extra bonus points when you win something like that. That's pretty special.
Yeah, and especially at home. And I'm actually going back this year to race again because I just love it so much.
Oh, you go back?
Yeah, I'm going back again.
When is that?
21st September.
Okay.
So yeah, I'll be at Ironman Wales. A bit TBC of what I do after this race between here and Ironman Wales. But yeah, I'm going back there, and kind of here in Wales is what I feel like the sport is all about. The community, the amazing atmosphere, the vibe.
Pure.
Yeah, this is why I do the sport. So as soon as I arrived, it's just the warm welcome I got at the airport from the Challenge family, and straight to get my car, which is like the nicest car I've ever driven. And then into the most amazing homestay family. It's just kind of like that warm vibe. I was like, yeah, you can bring me back here every year.
Well, and you know what? Once you connect with the homestay family, they're yours forever.
Yeah, they're
right?
so kind.
Yeah, and they'll want you back.
And I think they can feel I'm still quite a bit of a chopper pro, and the homestay son has been helping me out with my bike bits. And
is that right?
Yeah. I was like, oh, I need to work out where I'm getting a chain from, and kind of need to sort that out when I'm here. And he was like, oh, I do wax chains. I was like, oh, okay. And he goes, do you want me to do yours? I was like, oh, brilliant. So then he showed me how. And I was like, well, I probably need to learn actually how to take my chain off first. But so he's been like educating me on my bike.
That's funny. I remember I think it was Peter Reed, one of the top pros years ago, was here, and no, it was Frankfurt, and the homestay couple, the husband and wife, were training more than he was, right? Because his coach had him on sort of lesser training, and he was like, these guys are 60 years old. They're riding 280 miles a week, and I'm riding 200. What the hell? They got these age groupers are kicking my butt here. What the hell? But the bond that you connect with the families is something that'll last a lifetime.
Oh, 100%. And like, I had a homestay family in St. George, and like they're like family for life. And
yes,
I can see that will be the case with the homestay I'm with now, and hopefully come back every year with them.
So how'd you get from rowing into triathlon?
That kind of classic story. A friend gets you to come along.
A friend comes along from rowing and says, you should try this.
Yeah, literally. Like, I was injured rowing, and she was like, oh, I'm just off to do this half Ironman. And I was like, what is that? And she described it, and I was like, oh my God, that sounds horrendous. Yeah. And I was like, God, why would anybody
do that?
I was like, it's going to take you ages. And she was like, yeah, it's like 5-6 hours. And I was like, whoa, that sounds like a lot, because rowing, like, there's a lot of mileage in the training, but essentially, like, in the summer, your racing's done within 7 minutes.
Right.
And so, like,
full gas.
Yeah, oh, it's absolutely disgusting. Yeah. The pain's disgusting. And this is like completely different. And she was like, you should come and do it. And I was like, what? And
why?
I was like, well, I can't really swim. That's quite an issue. And she was like, oh, like, you can just borrow stuff. So yeah, I just borrowed stuff, and I bought a bike off eBay, like a £150 bike.
Yeah.
And, we didn't have a clue what we were doing, because we had gone home, and the event organisers phoned us, and they were like, where's your bike? And we were like, with us? And they were like, no, you need to rack it the day before. So then we had to go all the way back to the race.
Oh, so you didn't realise you had to rack the bike?
I had no clue. And then the race organiser was like, where's your water bottle cage on your bike? And I was like, I don't have one. And then so, like, yeah, it was just all very chopper, like, didn't have a clue what was going on, and I was that bad in the swim. Like, my family had walked off and everyone had gone, but I was still in the water.
Oh, your family thought you were out of the water?
Yeah, they were like, we must have missed her. She said, everyone's out. But no, I was still in.
You were like last one out.
Yeah, I think I had like 4 minutes to the cut-off time or something.
From the swim?
Yeah, from the swim.
But then you got on your borrowed bike.
Yeah. But then I can remember I got to the run and I was really thirsty because it's just like a local one. I'm not even sure there was aid stations. And I got to the run. Like, I can remember saying to my mum and dad, I was like, I'm so thirsty and hungry. Like, 'cause I hadn't eaten anything since breakfast. I hadn't really thought about that process. And I can remember there was a table and it was just full of Haribo, and I literally just started like chucked it in. And then I don't know if there was aid stations on the run because I can remember getting across the line. I was like, I am so thirsty, and my mum bought me all this drink. I just remember it so well, and it was like none of us had a clue what was going on. My auntie and my mum went off to the toilet and they missed me finish.
They weren't even around.
They weren't even there.
Nice.
So none of us had a clue what was going on, and then I literally got the bug for it. And then my friend was like, by the time we're 25, like we're doing Ironman, and so I went back rowing, and we signed up to do Ironman Bolton, and we were just going to do it off the back of like no training kind of thing, just off our rowing. And sadly, a family friend got diagnosed with cancer, so the kind of reason behind it became stronger, and raised money for cancer research, and I just got the bug for it after that. And I can remember having a chat with my rowing coach at the time at the GB Rowing Lake in Caversham, and she was like, do you think you're better at triathlon than rowing? And I was like, not sure better, but I do really enjoy it. And I just kept getting repetitive rib stress fractures, and I was always out injured, like in the summer season when you're meant to be at your fittest. I was actually at my weakest.
Yeah.
And I wasn't strong, and I just wasn't strong enough to tolerate. I was a lightweight rower, and my body wasn't strong enough to be at that 57 kilos in the summer, and I just broke every time. And she was like, maybe rowing's not the sport for you, and it's just set you up for your next phase of life, and it did. So I was like, right, 2012, went all in, and then I went through age group ranks for a couple of years before turning professional. That's a very long-winded story. If you want.
No, that was good. That was good. But that's where, that's what people don't understand. We were just talking with Angela about that, you guys all started as age groupers.
Yeah.
Which is why pros can connect with age groupers, because that's who they were.
Yeah.
Right? They understand, and when an age grouper comes up and says, hey, what was it like for you on Solar Hill? They were on the same course at the same time. You can't do that with Tiger Woods at the Masters, right? You can't go hit with Roger Federer at Wimbledon, but you can be with Nikki Bartlett and comparing notes after the race, and you were an age grouper, you totally get it.
Yeah, and I mean, most pros probably did swim, but yeah, I didn't swim as a kid, and I learned to swim in my 20s, and I was talking with two age group athletes today, Sarah and Mark, who I got to know through the sport, and they're literally like, I'm not putting words in their mouth, but they're quite worried about the swim because it's going to be non-wetsuit.
Non-wetsuit, yeah.
And I was like, trust me, I'm what you're feeling, I feel, or have been there, and I do feel those feelings, and just basically relatable stories.
Yes.
I was like, you will be okay, and once you get on the bike, you'll forget about the swim.
You've already put the training in the swim.
Yeah, and I was like,
when you're swimming in a
anyway,
pool,
it's out the way for the day.
You're not wearing a wetsuit in the pool, so it's like you've done all that training.
Yeah. I was like, as soon as you get in, you'll forget that you haven't got a wetsuit on, and just kind of soak up all the crowds on the bank.
So this is sort of the season kickoff for you, right? So, any specific goals, or knowing these seasons are really, really long? Is this, hey, I want to get through this, enjoy it, savor it, because it's one of those classic events, and see what happens the rest of the season?
Yeah, I'm just going to do what I've kind of always done. Even for Nice, I was ranked 40th. No one really thought I'd come in the top 10 of all top 20 or top 30. I was like, not talked about at all. And it just kind of shows you just need to stay in your bubble and just believe in yourself, because if you don't believe in yourself, kind of no one else is. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And I'm just going to do my process goals as I've always done. And I always aim to have enjoyment leading up to the race and in the race, and I'm going to soak up the crowds. I'm going to that Solar Hill, get going on the crowds, and just soak up the environment, because that's when I know I get the best out of myself. And this race is really cool in terms of you can have nutrition, I think, after the aid stations, and get people to help you out on that, which I've got some great people helping me on the fluid bit. So I'm excited to see what that adds as well in terms of performance, because I sweat a lot. I'm literally the sweatiest person you'll ever meet. And I find it the hydration quite hard on an Ironman race, or Ironman distance race. So I'm looking forward to actually getting more fluids down and seeing if that helps, because I do lose a lot of fluid from my sweat rate.
Love it. Well, have yourself a great race on Sunday.
Thank you.
All right. Nikki Bartlett has been our guest, everybody. Little round of applause there for Nikki. Again, Breakfast with Bob. Hold on. We will be right